my people, how you doing? I hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. I will be showing you guys a way that you can replicate a realistic Manchester United career mode under the likes of Erik ten Hag. And that obviously starts off with the play style, the formations, and so on. Obviously, I have created these tactics in the past. Obviously, the 4-3-3 attack or the 4-2-3-1, depending on how you view it, as well as the 4-3-3 holding. So if you haven't seen those tactics, I will link them at the end of this video for you to potentially go and copy and put into your game so that you can have a realistic Erik ten Hag set of tactics and a play style. So, of course, assessing the team as a whole, it's not the worst team. It does have a fair amount of depth. It does have its issues in its own right. And you would assume that there are quite a few players on the transfer list. And to be honest with you guys, if I had made this video maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, sorry, there is thunder outside. Thunder and lightning, very, very frightening. But if I had made this video 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have told you guys the likes of Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire are definitely on the transfer list. But now it seems like, for at least this season, they are going to be here. So what I would try and convince you guys to do is to keep them at least for the first season of your career mode. But the likes of Anthony Martial, he finds himself on the transfer list on his way out of Manchester United, especially in the January window. I think obviously with the new ownership and the new structural or the new structure around the likes of Erik ten Hag, we will be seeing a lot of the deadwood leaving. And that is more or less what I have been reading on Twitter and so on. I mean, I know it's Twitter, but there's always some truth to the stories that you do hear. And none other than the stories that I have been hearing about Jadon Sancho. Apparently, it's more or less a signed, sealed, delivered. He is leaving Manchester United in January. So, obviously, putting him on the transfer list, it sucks, I know. But it's necessary. It's a realistic move. And then finally, the last player who you should potentially put on the list is the likes of Donny van de Beek. It is essential. He does need to go. A bit of a weird one, but it just has not worked out, and I think Ten Hag has realized this. So you know what? He's on the list. He's going probably in January. Where to? I'm not sure. The likes of Sancho is linked with a move to Juventus. So if you do get a transfer offer from an Italian club, it's probably the most realistic direction that you can send him. The likes of Van de Beek, if a move comes in from Ajax, definitely probably send him back there. For Anthony Martial, I would assume obviously he's from Monaco. Or Manchester United bought him from Monaco, and then Monaco got him from Lyon. So I would suggest if any of those two clubs come in for him, definitely accept their deals. Obviously, Manchester United, they won't look to try and sell to their rivals, so the Chelseas, the Manchester Cities, and so on. Obviously, it's a realistic career mode. You're not trying to sell to your direct rivals and strengthen them potentially. So it's food for thought, obviously. The next step is obviously the contract extensions. The likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well as Victor Lindelof are in the final 12 months of their deals. And obviously it's been rumored that Ten Hag really likes and appreciates both of them. So I would strongly suggest that you give them an extension of some sort. And potentially, if you do find that they need to be sold in the future, it does obviously extend their value as well. So it does give you a bit more leverage in negotiations with the opposition negotiator. As for the likes of Sofyan Amrabat, obviously he is on loan for the first season at Manchester United. I would strongly suggest, you hold off a bit more, wait till the January window. Obviously play him as much as possible, otherwise his deal will be cancelled. But if you do prefer him, I would probably say, in real life, Ten Hag, he does like what Amrabat can offer the team. And I think, it's been a bit of a rocky period for him. He's come into a very unstable side, hasn't been getting that many minutes. But I think in the long term, Ten Hag will look to try and buy him on a permanent deal, and then obviously play him in the Manchester United side. Obviously, Manchester United are known for their fantastic youth academy, the youth products of the 92 class, and obviously through the years, Manchester United have, produced some really, really good talents, Marcus Rashford being one of them. You might say, no, he's not a good talent, whatever. He's going through a rough patch. All players do. You just got to support them. You've got to support them through thick and thin. But as you can see here, you obviously get the generic players that are, auto-generated into the game once you load up your save. Your job will be to just weed through, the bad ones like this guy here, Kramer. Clearly not good enough for a Manchester United Youth Academy product. So he's gone, and weed through them and then potentially send out scouts to various countries to try and, scout the best possible talents. And with your scouts, I would strongly suggest you send one to South America. It can be any South American country. For this, I've gone with Brazil because Manchester United have more or less dived into the Brazilian market, trying to scout the next young talent out of Brazil, obviously going straight to the source of a lot of other European, clubs and how they get their talents and how they make their money. I mean, the likes of Ajax with Anthony almost getting 100 million euros for Anthony. And I think Manchester United, they're a bit tired of that. So they've gone straight to the source. They've gone to Brazil. But I would strongly suggest after the 9-month period is over, you scout in Argentina or Chile or Colombia, or, you consistently want to try, rotate and bring in as many good young players as can be. Another place I've gone to is obviously England, and I would suggest again, rotating between England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, and so on. And then finally, France, a more Central European approach. France at this moment in time, obviously, with the new DOF that is linked with Manchester United, used to work in Monaco. So it's just a bit more of a realistic approach, because he would have a bit more connection in France and in that area. Now, moving on to the scouting area. Of course, this is an area that has been revolutionized under the likes of Ten Hag, and it will continue to be, changed and tweaked and turned and shaped into the way that Manchester United wants it. Obviously, with the new owner, with the new structure around Ten Hag, it's all going to change yet again. But Ten Hag has been looking for a right back, a centre back, a right winger. Shocker, he is getting rid of Sancho, as well as a striker, and then obviously the right midfielder area. So right winger, right midfielder. So you want to try and, find those 3 or 4 major positions, a striker to try and back up the likes of Højlund or potentially start. I know Manchester United are linked with Ivan Toney and a few other strikers here and there, but we will get into those targets fairly soon. So you want to try and, send your scouts out and use your scouting network, because essentially that is what Manchester United are going to start doing more effectively and efficiently now. We're going to not just, be linked with the big name players like we have been. We're now going to say, okay, there's a kid in France, a centre back, plays for Lille. He's 17 years old. He could be the next Raphael Varane at 17, and we're going to try and buy him. So those are things that you're going to try and do. So you will see with the age brackets, I've gone from 16 to 30. Now, I don't think that, they'll go as extreme as what Chelsea have. If you're over 25, we're not buying you. But I think it will be more of if you can fit the system, we're going to look at you. And more so if you do meet, the age requirements, we're going to try and buy you as young as possible, so we can develop you and shape you, as well as mold you into the player that we need for this team going forward. So we're going to do away with buying potential Casemiros for 17 million, who's 31 years old and potentially over the hill. It's a very much a restructure of how we're going to be buying players going forward. And speaking of links to players, I've put together a list of some players that I know Manchester United are definitely looking at. Obviously, we're linked with them. So in any way, shape or form, I have put them down. So we've got Sasha Bowie. Todibo, of course, the Nice links with Sir Jim Ratcliffe makes the most sense. I think this is the most likely deal. So obviously, if you're going for the most realistic approach, I think this man is the guy to potentially bring into your side. I recently read, though, that Jonathan Tah is also on the list for potential players to bring in. Of course, Mark Guehi, he's linked with every Big Six side under the sun. He's had a fantastic few years, I could say, at Crystal Palace, so it makes sense. Of course, he is English, so he does meet the quota criteria. And that's another thing you guys need to look out for, the quota criteria, the homegrown versus, the foreign player ratio quota. So make sure that you are keeping that in mind. And then another player who we are and have been linked with, and one that excites me the most out of all of these players, is Lenny Yoro. Of course, 17, 6'3", an absolute beast with the ball at his feet. If we sign him, I will truly start believing in this revolution of how we're going to approach the transfer market. The likes of Vermeeren, obviously as a Casemiro potential replacement if he does leave. The likes of João Neves, who could be signing for Manchester United for a crazy amount of money, which I don't see happening, but of course we are still linked with him nonetheless. Then finally, we've got the likes of Catherine Thuram, as well as Takefusa Kubo, who is also linked with Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, and so on. He's also having a very, very good season. And I do see him potentially getting a move, but maybe not in the January window, probably in the summer. So obviously going forward, I normally do discuss this with my tactics videos, but for Manchester United, the wing play approach does make the most sense for them and how they want to play under the likes of Erik ten Hag. The coach management, it makes the most sense. You are going to try and target wing play coaches. Obviously, the best of the best. I normally have a preference of, if it's 4 stars, I'll accept it. If it's less than that, it's a very much a gimme. Unless there's it's barren and you can't find anything. But as you can see here, there's a 4-star defensive coach that is ready to potentially be hired by Manchester United. Now, I will also say this, for realism's sake, Manchester United are a very big club. It makes the most sense that they will have the best of the best. And it just takes a bit of patience and time for you to potentially wait for the correct coaches to come along. But obviously, if you have a West Bromwich Albion career mode like I do have, check that out. Every weekend we upload at least 2 videos. But if you have a West Bromwich Albion career mode, maybe settle for a 3 or a 2-star, coach that can help you for the time being until a better opportunity comes about. And then finally, just a tip for you guys going forward with the training plans. Now, obviously, this is in pre-season because you will just be starting off. Obviously, you want your team fit and firing and healthy and fit and sharp and tactically aware and all that good stuff, right? So basically what I do is I start them all off on a performance-focused approach for their training. So all of them will be, busting a gut, making sure that their fitness levels are up, making sure that their sharpness is up. And then eventually, as the season starts, literally with the first game of the season, I then put my starting lineup onto balanced. And that does help them maintain a sharp as well as a fitness balance between the two, which is very nice, very helpful. And then obviously I will leave my bench, because obviously they won't all be getting minutes. I will leave my bench on performance focus. So that still keeps them nice and sharp and fully match fit and ready if you do call upon them off the bench. So yes, people, that is how I would suggest a realistic Manchester United career mode should start off under the likes of Erik ten Hag. Set up your scouts, set up your youth academy, make sure the team is taking over, include and incorporate and potentially target the right profile player for this team going forward. But until then, guys, this is new to the channel. Hit that like button, subscribe, check out the tactics videos. I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.